All right, and we're live.
Yes, we are here this morning. I'm Ira Revels. Good morning, everybody. Black Tech Futures Weekly Chat. We are season 2, episode 3, here with an illustrious guest, man. Illustrious guest. That is Hanifah Walidah, people. If you don't know her, trust me, poet, spoken word artist, rapper, amazing human being, now curator of an awesome series of collections that we're going to talk about today.
Can't wait.
Welcome, Hanifah. Thank you so much.
Hey. It's good to be here. It's a pleasure. My pleasure.
Right on.
Absolutely.
Tell people, man, what are you, oh my God. So we were talking earlier, obviously I'm excited, but we were talking earlier because remember, like for folks who don't know, what we're doing, we're looking at artists, we're talking about NFTs, and in particular, Hanifah represents for me and my community, which is a community of crazy Black lesbians and queer people, an icon in our community. And so that is part of the reason why I'm so happy that I was able to meet her virtually and also invite her to the show today, man. So thank you for being here. For all of us.
Absolutely.
Say word, fam.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we were talking earlier, I mentioned this, I didn't get a chance to tell this to Jamel, but we were talking earlier about a project that I remember her from way back in 2008, 2009, called You People. And it was literally a party that I seriously wish I had been able to attend. But it was an amazing project that she worked on. And anyway, that's like the past, right? And here we are in the present with you now focusing on curating in the NFT space. So I have 50 million questions in addition to how's it going right now with what you're trying to actually accomplish on your computer as we speak?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just loading and loading. I'm trying to buy some ETH because I'm trying to get me a couple of Afrodroids, which starts on sale around 10/17 for the pre-sale folks, and this is taking forever. I'm pissed I didn't do this last night. It just need to come on. But yeah, so I'm watching it twirl and
actively in it. Wow,
yeah, right.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about, right here.
Sometimes
just on
the game, right?
On an NFT weekly chat while on the computer trying to get ready to buy some NFTs. Like, look at that.
Isn't that something?
Like that's I love it.
That's what we do.
The thing. And by the time y'all see this, if you didn't get your Afrodroid, you're gonna have some serious FOMO. And I'm not trying to have that happen.
I'm gonna have to look into it because you know what? I was going through your Twitter and I seen kitty butts too, and I love the art on that. I was like, this is so cool. Oh, yeah. I love this. I'm like,
I know.
Who would have thought?
I'm gonna get a kitty butt. Yeah.
I was like, I really do like I love the space we're in. This is where art is.
If you're a cat person, you love kitty butts.
Yeah, look up kitty butts. Yeah, look at kitty. It's the cutest thing.
I'm almost scared, yo.
No, it has a little edge to it, but it's still cute. It's like it's awesome. I love the art. It's really cool. The guy who was even speaking on it, he seemed like a really cool guy from like the stuff I was just kind of digesting.
Cute as hell. Yeah, it's cute. Yeah.
No, it's super cool. So Hanifah, why don't you kind of tell us, of course, you've had a great career in music leading up to, as Ira was kind of explaining, you even dabbled in plays and theater. You've even done a documentary, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm definitely a multidisciplinary.
Absolutely. And that's what we like. We love that, right? We love that here. And now obviously it sets you up to be in this perfect, place of the NFT world, of this metaverse, to really bring in all these types of forms of art and bring it into this new world. So why don't you, and no pun intended, well, maybe a pun intended with new world, but why don't you explain to us what you got going on and then your partnerships that you really developed and where we're at now with you as a curator.
Yeah. I mean, stepping into the space as a curator was a conscious decision. Like I was talking earlier with Ira, the space, the relationship has, for the most part, been between collector directly with artist, and the space has kind of propagated, getting rid of the middle people. But one of those middle people are curators, and it's the one position that I think in this space will aid artists in enriching the space in general, because it adds another artist, it adds another storyteller. I don't think many curators identify as gatekeepers, or, you know, gallerists, or, you know, the traditional gatekeepers in the art community. And in my case, because I'm coming from so many disciplines, music, theater, documentary, film, poetry, you name it, I've always curated throughout my career. It might have not been called that, but essentially using whatever devices, artistic devices, to tell a story. That's, for me, that's all curating is.
I love how you
to
put
me,
that.
it's not as simply as putting, it's not as simple as putting images on a wall in some sort of assembly, which is a way.
Right,
you know,
right,
within the traditional space, because all we had was walls, right?
Right.
But now we're talking about the metaverse. Now we're talking about we have access to technology that can help tell these stories. So I like the idea of working with different artists, collaborating, where me as the curator, they're coming in to help me tell this story, or we're telling a story that's going to reveal itself together. You know what I mean? And we both don't know how it's going to be at the end. But for me, that creative process is what I really love about being in this space, you know. And when I say being in this space, I mean, I just, along with probably a lot of people, I arrived at the top of the year of 21. That's when I first got on the Clubhouse, and I stumbled into a room and found out about NFTs, went down the rabbit hole and learning. And when I got it, it was a wrap. I said, I know where I want to be, or how I want to show up in the space. It is tricky because, like I said, most relationship is between collectors and artists. So I'm trying to carve out a space for curators where artists see us as a resource, not the resource, but a resource to sell their work, or to put their brand out there, to launch their careers, to accelerate their careers, what have you, to create opportunities within this space. I want to be one of the people to help that. So my whole goal in curation is partnering with as many people, trying to be consistent in what I put out, so that I develop a reputation over time. It's a different road to navigate or walk in this space. And there are other people curating in this space too, but we still are fairly young, you know? So it's really interesting. As far as specific projects, there's two projects that I've curated so far. One's called Atomic's Dog, and the other one's called Pieces of a Dream. Atomic's Dog was my first one out the gate. A friend of mine, this is where George Clinton comes in. A friend of mine got her hands on an original George Clinton piece that he made like in the late 90s. It was a drawing he made when he first started to get into visual art. Right now, he's really prolific now, and as far as the visual arts, it's a whole nother career for him. But this is at the beginning, and she had met up with him. It was before a show here in Atlanta. You know, she was providing some herbal essence to the man. and he was making this drawing at the same time, and he wouldn't look up for the drawing. He was really into it. And so she's in this smoky room. She can't breathe. She said, I was starting to get a sty in my eye. The smoke was so thick, it was smoke I could not fuck with. Like, she's like, I just want to get my money and go. So when he finally looked up from it, he asked, he said, baby, what's your name? She said her name. He wrote her name on it and then gave her this piece, and she kept it all those years, right? And then we became friends when I moved to Atlanta. So when I found out she had this piece, I thought, well, okay, this will be my interest into the world, curating. And I said, well, let's not sell the piece itself. One, we may not have the rights to do it, because just because someone gifted you work doesn't mean you have the right to sell it. Right. So, but I thought this would be a good opportunity to maybe help other emerging artists, you know. So I got artists who I liked, and I said, I'm inviting you to reinterpret this work. I'm inviting you to deconstruct this work, to take from it what you will and create a new piece of art, and that will be the collection. And then I took that, I worked with, and see, there was Greg and May was an artist, Owo, who is the creator of the Afrodroids, is an artist. Anthony Meldon, Alex Sanzo, Strella Thump. These are young Black artists in the space. At the time, really trying to come up in the space, and I liked their work. So I took it, they did it. And then I took it to another level. I connected with this sister Artsy, who's one of the most prolific world builders in alt space, which is a metaverse, right? Using Oculus. It's, you know, it's under Microsoft now. And we worked together, and she created this, or envisioned, helped me envision this space on Mars, because they just had designated Octavia Butler landing on Mars. It's an actual place on Mars. So I thought it'd be fun to create an NFT gallery and envision what it would look like at Octavia Butler, or to party at Octavia Butler landing on Mars. So that's what we did. It's still up there. And I made everyone's piece like, you know, because if you've never been in all space, everything is scaled. So if something's 100 feet high, it's going to feel like that. So I made these kind of monolithic pieces, sci-fi monolith type pieces, but that's what bared the art. Those were the canvases, right? But moving on to the next one, Pieces of a Dream, that was another ambitious project.
I like how you phrase
ambitious. But, yes, very ambitious. Yes, I learned a lot. I'm learning a lot from this project. But basically, it's a partnership between myself and Brian Jackson. If you're not aware who he is, Brian Jackson is this legendary composer. He was the right arm, the brother and friend of Gil Scott-Heron. So there's no Gil Scott without Brian. There's no Brian without Gil Scott. And so it was the 50th anniversary of Pieces of a Man, which was their first album that got together. It's the one that gave us The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, right? Yeah. And it, you know, and then of course many beautiful albums came after that, you know what I mean? But so anyway, so Brian and I met years back when Gil passed, and I was a part of a tribute to him, and we were both involved in that. So I reached out to him, and then I reached out to other poets that we all came up together, like Saul Williams, Jessica Care Moore. We were all, you know, we're of a certain cohort, right? So I reached out to them to be a part of this project, and then the whole idea was that Brian would create like a 3-minute and 20-second composition. I split it up in these 20-second intervals, 10 20-second intervals, and give it to each poet to then do to write and perform a haiku within that music, and then pass that on to 10 NFT artists to interpret what both the music and the poets done. And that was the concept, you know. But then Brian told me about the story of Keith Lamar, who's a brother he's been advocating for, who's been on death row for 26 years, unjustly so. Got caught up in the game, and but framed. And so he's been fighting for his freedom, right? So then Keith became one of the 10 poets, because he's also someone who's written a book while in jail. He manages a teenagers at risk book club. He lectures at college. He does a lot. And he also advocates for his freedom, right? So that made Pieces of a Dream become something even bigger, right? Or it added to what I thought the value of it. And then when I partnered with Nifty Kid, who we'll talk about later, they gave me access to one of their parcels, and that was the first time I built in Cryptovoxels metaverse.
I love. And
so we built, yeah. You know, graphically, it's interesting, like it's nostalgic, but it's as far as building it's a easier onboarding. You know, you send someone a link, it'll drop it right, and don't got to download any software, none of that. Yep. You know, and it's easy to build. So anyway, so we built Pieces of a Dream, which is it allowed me to do something that I've been wanting to do with NFT galleries, because NFT galleries, for the most part, some of them are really nice. They're strong in the prowess of it and the ambition of it and the build, and it looks like whatever. But at the end of the day, when you go in, it's just pictures on the wall, right? So I said, okay, well, since we have this amazing story, you know, we have the wealth that is Brian Jackson, his music, and all these incredible poets, and we have Keith's story. Let me use Keith's story as a thread to create an installation, make it more experiential, you know. So I don't know if you had a chance to go in, but when you do go in, you're actually entering a prison. At least that's the first layer of it. And you have to navigate yourself through this prison, through Keith Lamar's story, even replicated his cell, right? But the way the whole structure is set up, you're supposed to navigate your way up and eventually making your way to the roof. And for me, it's more of a metaphor. It's less about objectifying this man's situation, definitely putting some light on it, but not objectifying it. but more so using it as a metaphor that we all have limitations in life. We're born to whatever capacity, and the world says we got limit. I'm a Black, I'm a woman, I'm queer, you know, I got a Muslim name, you name it. I got checks, I got checks. You know, a thing's trying to cock block me, excuse my language. But, you know, but how do you navigate that? How do you find your freedom? How do you find your place in the world and your purpose, regardless of whatever limitations the world tries to put on you? So that really was the experience that I was trying to create using Keith Lamar's story and the work of Pieces of a Dream as a thread. There's a lot going on. So that's that. I could go on and on.
No, that's absolutely
right now,
amazing.
That led to the artist residency with Nifty Kid, which I can talk about, you know, at another point.
Yeah, like I love how we were having that conversation earlier and talking about the role of a curator, especially in this NFT space.
Yeah.
And you know, Nifty Kid in this case being a way for you to channel that particular, I'm saying maybe point in your career as an artist, you know. So maybe talk about how'd you connect with Nifty Kid?
Well, they still are a young company, and you know, everyone's trying to make their way, but they were the first ones. I forgot how I found out about them, but I stumbled upon them. And what I liked about their platform is that they're not positioning themselves as a marketplace, you know, as a foundation or open sea. They are positioning themselves as the platform, if you will, that truly gives artists some free agency and autonomy over their work. And so they themselves can become their own marketplace, which for me is at the end of the day, the fucking goal, you know, because if we're going to keep getting signed to the record labels, I mean, I don't want to hear nobody crying.
What's the point?
5-10 years from now, when they get jammed up because they done gave all their energy, all their art to these platforms, and none of it was on their own smart contract.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever.
You know what? Before, because I really want to unravel that before we get there, because I love this concept that you were talking about, a curator now versus like in this NFT metaverse versus a curator traditionally, and how that can be kind of seen in a negative light somehow, right? Because if you think about it, and Ira, please, like, because I know you have more experience than I do with just like traditional galleries and how that works with the curators there, and how they are considered like, you know, the record labels, the ones that, hey, we're the ones that are going to put you on,
the gatekeepers,
put your art on our wall. We're going to take 50%, and it was just and it was just a place where and then once
I don't take 50%.
Well, yeah, no. So, and that's where the conversation.
Nor would I need to in this space,
right? So and this is where the conversation is now leading into, where now you have artists, and I love, you know, correlating it with musicians and how their relationships are with these record labels. You have independent artists now getting, you know, distribution deals, right? They still might need help. They might not need everything. They're going to own their masters, but they'll do some splits for distribution because they obviously don't have those types of platforms and that type of reach, right? It's more so pick and choose what I need from you guys. I don't need no 360 deal. Like, please get the fuck off me. I don't need no guys like right? So now how does that transition, and how can we let artists know that, hey, just cut? So because I see some artists that feel, well, isn't this just the same thing, but just virtual now? Like all these marketplaces, open seas, aren't they going to take a percentage regardless? And it's like, sure, but not no damn 50%. Like, do we need to
not no 50%, honey?
Like, come on, that's,
and they're not vested in fucking the end either. But
right.
You know,
and I think it's an intention.
I mean, the only things that
no, I'll continue. I was just gonna say, I think it's an intention thing. I think it's a new pivot on what the curator today looks like, and I think you're that. So like,
I would like to be identified as an artist. I mean, curator is a word, and it has whatever connotations, and it is essentially
it's a position.
I'm not literally creating the art that I'm displaying, but I because I know my voice as an artist, curation is just another tool. It's just another artist tool for me. So I was like, okay, and even, you know, it's art in the way that I talk to these artists. It's art in the way that I try to communicate my vision to them, so they have the breadcrumbs they need to do their thing. It's an art to even you know, when they bring things back in or when they say, well, here's my work, I may give suggestions, light, gentle guidance, right? Because I still have the vision, right? That I'm inviting them in to help, you know, I mean, it's obviously
it's creative direction,
it's mutual benefit, but you know, but I still see it, I'm still approaching it like an artist, right? We're creating something I'm not taking stuff they've already made and putting it in, right? We're making stuff now. Right. So it's the I just can't draw a straight line. That's, you know. Right. You know, so yeah, so it's definitely, for me, it's redefining what curation means. It still can mean putting, curation can making a playlist. Curation could be a lot of things.
I was just thinking the same thing, right? Like, isn't a DJ somehow like a curator?
Yeah, exactly. Now the term is so loosely, I think the technology allows us to really expand the definition of what curation is. And I really want to encourage artists themselves to become curators, because they innately already are curators. They're already storytellers. You know what I mean? But
I like how you said that too earlier, and I'm glad that you brought that up again, because I really like how you tied a storyteller with curating, like, and being a curator, because you're really
in my book,
right? Because because how the way you explain how you put these projects together, and which is beautifully done. You're really taking a lot of people and putting them together, and you're starting with one piece, and then just like really building these layers on top to have something on the other end become something so beautiful and and be labeled an NFT. So now leading up to Nifty Kit and really pushing artists to become their own marketplace and have their own stuff. What does that look like? Like, have you really dove into that, realm yet, of really getting artists to make their own smart contracts yet?
Yes, that's what we're doing now, actually. So with the partnership with Nifty Kit, we're doing something called New World Curator Kits. So basically, we're leveraging Nifty Kit. The guys who own Nifty Kit own a few parcels in Cryptovoxels. So we're starting as a test. We're taking one of those parcels and building this building that is inspired by the Brill building in New York on 49th Street. Quickly, the history of the Brill building is just a building that housed a shit ton of ethnic songwriters in the 50s and 60s that wrote a shit ton of hits, but they couldn't become artists themselves because they didn't have quite they were white ethnic, but they didn't have all of the white feature Anglo, to be an artist back then. So these like the Jewish, Russian, that kind of thing, right? And but they made like the hits, and the incubus that was in that building was phenomenal. There's a documentary on Hulu if you're interested in really diving into the history of the Brill building. So I said I wanted to create something like that created the space for artists to come into, NFT artists to come into and occupy space, like an artist residency or studio, occupy space to help tell their story, to kind of guide them to how it is to curate, whether they're curating their own work or they're collaborating with someone or they're representing a community, right? And curating that. So this whole building is going to be a few floors, a few sub parcels, if you will, on each floor. Right. Some would be bigger, some would be smaller, what have you. But I want to occupy that. We have the applications are open now, but occupy that with an array of artists that not only have great art, but who are storytellers, who are open to the idea like, okay, I have space in this metaverse. What experience am I going to offer people? And then that collective experience being under one parcel. So this is not like a mall, people just saying, hey, I'm selling some shit. It's very intentional.
Because it could easily look like that. Because it could exactly.
Like it's very intentional. And then the outside, and it's very translucent or transparent. So it's a lot of open windows, there's walls and everything. But if you're flying on the outside, you can kind of see what's happening on the inside, right? And then the skin around it is kind of hive, honeycomb, bee-like. So I'm basically creating a hive. And I love the idea that because you can look inside, you can see the art inside, even if you don't go in, and you can't walk around, you can only fly inside.
That's dope.
Yeah, so it's because it's so many levels and it's spacious. It's like you can walk, but I don't know about you, when I'm in Cryptovoxels trying to go up some steps, it's the most awkward It's a lot easier to fly. Yeah, exactly. It's a lot easier to fly.
I didn't even know you can fly in Cryptovoxels.
Yeah, you totally can. Yeah.
Really? Oh my gosh. Yeah. There'll be instructions, because you're not the only person who's gonna be like, you can fly. Yeah, right. You can fly. And it's a lot easier to move around. I like to fly.
Yo, what you telling, man? I'll be like, oh, it's gonna take forever.
Yeah,
exactly. No. You got to fly. You got to fly, or you'll never get nowhere, But
Cryptovoxels is actually a problem, I was gonna say, because I remember being in there. We did a show where we actually we're showing folks Cryptovoxels, but it's a place where you can totally get lost for a while because there's so much going on.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah. And it's stuff that's kind of sort of built, fully built, and everyone's neighbors,
Right.
So it's just one of a metaverses that, by the, when we talk, this time next year, there's going to be so many more metaverses, but the point is to get access, the ones you can buy land, there's some that's just free. But what's important about this, outside of my artistic venue, or in addition to my artistic venue, a lot of artists, I think having space in the metaverse just provides another way where you can present your work to potential collectors. That's instead of them just having the 2D experience of going to whatever platform or the marketplace. Now they can interact. But I think artists, I want to help them exercise the way in which they present their work. So it's not literally,
just like a mall. Oh yeah, just
exactly.
Just like, hey,
listen, I'm bored when I go to actual galleries. The only reason that keeps me there is because it's real life. Yeah. There is something that if the art is that impactful, it can still reach you, But I've always been bored by that concept of just putting shit on the wall.
Yeah,
I have. And so why are we doing the same thing in the metaverse? We can do so much more. Just literally putting them in a frame on a wall, because that's what people are used to.
Right. So that's like the first step that they're going to take when it comes to the metaverse. But
but that's just natural. Whenever there's new technology, we always have one foot in the old way, and as we try to walk in a new one, and this is no different. Right. But I'm immediately bored. I'm sorry.
Well, you know what?
I'm maybe going to tell you all the galleries I've seen, but there's not one yet, that I was like, wow, they doing something outside of the prowess of the building that it's housed in.
Right.
People really get caught up in the building, which is cool, the architecture, which is cool, which is important. But once you go inside, what am I experiencing? How do I interact with this art? How do I make it mean something to me?
Right. Right.
So more, how am I?
I think that's the challenge.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so more, how am I experiencing? Right. I was gonna say we're almost at time, but I feel like we have got to have you back talking at least a little bit about the art of curation post, so doing it in this 3D way, right? Because it's not, I don't think a lot of artists are definitely not used to thinking in this way, thinking in multidimensional ways. We have a variety of artists who obviously produce work that is spatially beautiful or depth, but now we're talking about elevating our all of our consciousnesses.
The experience.
Man.
We're human beings. We want to be told a story. It's like our lifeblood. We need it like food, water, and music.
Right.
This
is the what's next for this? We're in this metaverse. How can we elevate the way that we provide our audience an experience to really digest our art, as opposed to just, hey, here it is, look at it. And of course, digital art is really, ramping up. So like when you don't see anything traditional between those frames, it's something really vivid and awesome. It's like, oh, I love the art itself, but the way I'm taking it in, what are we going to do about that? And I think that's a great question to kind of leave this off at.
Action, exactly. All of that. Action, and I know we're short on time. We can leave it where it's saying that anyone who's interested, or any artist out there, one who are interested in exploring the NFT space, truly like educating yourself around it and how you can attain some free agency and autonomy with your art, right? I want, but also in particular, how to present your work, how to think about curation. I really want to encourage you all to apply to this artist residency. It's called New World Curator Kits. It's an artist residency in Cryptovoxels. You can just go to my Twitter at New World Curator. It's spelled all 3 words spelled as they should be spelled. And there's a link there, and there's more information. Link will take you to more information in the application.
Guys, please check it out. Please, I'm going to check it out. Please check it out, guys.
Definitely checking it out. Because you know what? That's the other thing too. I really, we are working right now with a couple of artists. And I know Jamel's been working with artists. And the idea has simply been, you know, this is what we can do. Think about this very broadly. Right. And you are given permission to think creatively. And I would love to be able to bring people, you know, other people, even a lot of the past guests that we've interviewed, insane work that they've produced.
Great artists, yeah.
Great and amazing artists. It would be beautiful to have more of a conversation with you about curation and really be able to bring people into that experience.
Yeah, that'll be amazing.
Something different, right, Jamil?
Absolutely. Hanifah, you were such a thank you. You gave such great insight on the other side of like what it means for artists to build up, you know, themselves, to really get into this space. And I think it's super important to have people like yourself who are artist first, like artist focused, artist centric, but like really wanting to guide them in the right way. Right. So I think your intentions are pure from this conversation. I think that's awesome. And we have to stick around together. We have to, I want to see you grow. I want to see the other projects that you do. I can't wait to check out Pieces of a Dream and Atomic's Dog. I can't wait to check that out. Those stories
it's all
are
in my
amazing.
link tree in the bios.
Oh yeah, no, I already started following you on Twitter, so we're there. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, NFTcreativetrader.com. Make sure you're checking out all the stuff that we got on there. All our episodes are on there. Make sure you stay tuned. Our first episode of WTF is still being edited, so it's coming out. First episode, wallet tutorial. Get your wallet game up. We have a step-by-step on how to do it. For artists, you're not going to want to miss this. It's a super cool episode. Can't wait to show you guys.
I gotta have you guys as on part of the residency to come in and talk to people and setting up their wallets for those who are true novices.
Absolutely.
I don't want to do
that would be such an honor. That would be such an honor.
Yeah, they were.
And if you wonder what WTF is, it's what the fungible.
What the fungible?
So start bringing it out.
Like what the fungible?
What the fungible?
All right, Hanifah, have a great day. Thank you so much for everything.
Have a good one. Thank you.
All right.